We'll start in a few minutes, maybe 3 minutes.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, so today I'm just going to give kind of an overview of this Dechen Ningpo Ngöndro and talk about organ Rigzen Nuden Dorje and his importance to the Drikung lineage, the intent of the cycle, kind of what's in the cycle, what makes it a bit unique, and the general kind of importance of Ngöndro. So first we'll take a moment and just cultivate the correct aspiration. So in your own mind you can take refuge, generate bodhicitta. Let's do that for a moment. Okay, a bit more informal today since I'm just telling a little bit about this. So, there's dozens and hundreds of Ngöndros out there. Most of them have the same structure, consisting of the kind of four main preliminaries. So you have, refuge and bodhicitta combined usually. This purification of Vajrasattva, mandala offering, and guru yoga. This Ngöndro is not different in those. It adds one more section to it that's particular to Ati yoga. And this was a cycle that was revealed by a great Tirtan who lived from about 1850 to 1902, 1903. So he's actually young, kind of short lifespan. A lot of these Tirtans seem to have shorter lifespans. Not all, but that's the case in a lot. So he lived, Organ Rigzen Nuden Dorje was Drikung Kagyu, Tukul, in Kham, in eastern Tibet. And he lived in the time of two great luminaries, Jamyang Khyentse Chokyi Lodro, or Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, and Jamgon Kongtrul. So actually, this is kind of the time when he was alive and spreading the doctrine. So it was a time of a great Rime movement. It was a time where the Nyingma tradition started to really kind of come back to life and flourish very strongly, especially in eastern Tibet. And he was both a student and a teacher of both those two great Jamgungs, and even in their own biographies they mention him. He was the holder of the 7 transmissions. So these are the 7 types of kind of like revealed Terma teachings. Not many Turtans in the history of Turtans have also been kind of the holders of the seven lineages. So this is basically like your own kind of earth termas, mind termas, rediscovered termas, sky treasure, kind of recollected bits and pieces of terma that were kind of discovered before but weren't completely finished, and then they kind of like they make additions and amendments to those. So he had kind of all of these different transmissions that were held. And in the Drikung Kagyu tradition particularly, there's 3, well, minus Jigten Sumgon, who's like the head of, right, this is like the crown ornament of Drikung since he founded the school. And the Gongchik and all of this doctrine is kind of what makes up the philosophical basis of Drikung. Outside of Jigten Sumgon, there's 3 kind of main lineage holders that when you look at the corpus of teachings and you look at the impact that they made on Drikung, practice manuals, retreats, kind of what's held today, and the pith instructions and all that. So you have the main kind of person is Rigzen Choki Drakpa, Drikung Dharmakirti. When you look at the entirety of all of the Drikung teachings that are practiced today and all the practice manuals, retreats, whether it's the Sarma side of Fivefold Path or it goes into maybe the revealed Terma teachings, treasures, and stuff that's in the Yangzab. Like Rigzen Choki Drakpa really combined, compiled, made annotations, notes, sadhanas, instruction, practice manuals on that. He's sort of kind of the crown jewel of the practice lineage in Drikung. Also, of course, Rinchen Punsak, who came before Rigzen Choki Drakpa. Rinchen Punsak revealed the Yangzab. So in Drikung, the main Terma cycle is this Yangzab cycle. And Rinchen Punsak, also a throne holder of Drikung, opened up the gateway of Yangzab and kind of combined the Nyingma and Kagyu traditions in the Drikung school. He's also the person who established the Yamantaka cycle within the Drikung school. And then Rigzen Choki Drakpa, in most accounts, is his grandson. And then you fast forward. I mean, there was many great masters, of course, in Drikung Kagyu, but like you fast forward, it was really kind of this time frame, mid-1800s to 1900. Then you had the 4th incarnation of the Bongshul line. And this 4th incarnation is Lo Rigzen Orgyen Nuden Dorje. And he held both the Sarma Kagyu side of Drikung, Fivefold Path, 6 Yogas of Naropa, and he also held this lineage of Yangzab, Ratna Lingpa's lineage, and then he revealed his own termas. And just as Rigzen Choki Drakpa kind of consolidated, clarified manuals, made the practice instructions really applicable for yogis, Orgyen Rigzen Nuden Dorje, his specialty was he made a lot of condensed practices. So he took what was already condensed a bit from Rigzen Choki Drakpa and condensed a lot of things into daily practices. He has this like garland of special practices, and like it's about 200, 300 texts that are just 1 or 2 pages each. So a lot of daily stuff is used in there. So I'm going to read a couple pages that I extracted from his Inner Secret autobiography, which I'm almost done translating that. That'll take a little bit more time, but this gives a nice entryway from his own words on how he was emanated into the world and kind of his qualities, right? So it says, it starts with the last line of a long lineage prayer in the beginning of his autobiography. So the last line is actually a refuge prayer to himself. So it says, "You with tufted locks upon your crown, learned and accomplished one of the snowy land. I prostrate, with as many atoms piled as high as this very realm, in the victory palace atop the unchanging Mount Meru, where the victory banner of Dharma rises high like a crown ornament. With great wisdom and power, Lochen Rinpoche, protect me." So this is his own line in this refuge prayer. All right. So it says, to the various beings extremely difficult to subdue, leading them to the superior path of peace, great guide without equal, the actual vision of Padmasambhava, who manifests as genuine compassion and illuminates the Buddha's teachings, dwell in the center of my heart. The great treasury of all the Buddha's teachings, both Sutra and Tantra, allow one to engage in the quest for the true definitive meaning, which is the heart essence of the ocean of all accomplished scholars. Drinking from this source of great wisdom that ripens the stream of consciousness, remembering your kindness causes qualities to manifest as vast levels of spiritual attainment. Throughout space and time, possessing the three kinds of faith and devotion, I bound down with my three doors, performing the 9 actions. I offer and present all accumulated merit. From now until enlightenment, may I never be separated from you. Organ Rigzen Nuren Dorje. In this age of the 5 degenerations, to tame those difficult to tame, you who are pursued by the actions of violent spirits, to the power of their past powerful karma, hardships of the 3 doors will arise. There is no other way to liberate others but to accomplish Guru Rinpoche's intent. I have no self apart from benefiting beings as much as I can. By the monstrous binding power of interdependence, Maras create obstacles. Since everything is bound by cause and effect, give up idle laziness and offer your mind, heart, and the crown to the Lord Guru Rinpoche. Whatever happens is due to you. I pray again and again, through the force of devotion, may your compassion become manifest. Through the power and force of your blessings, may I be liberated completely and attain the fortune of the 2 cities in this very life. May I encounter you again and again in all my future lives. For the benefit of unripened ordinary minds and future faithful ones, I shall set forth the secret autobiography for beings like myself who are trapped in this degenerate age, and place my mind on the good qualities of the noble ones that are, as of now, only dreamed of. The activity of habitual patterns and storylines, what is the use? The chief of the body is ignorance, and this causes one to cycle through birth and death. The time has arrived to cast this aside. Now it gets into kind of the actual thing about his birth. This entire autobiography and all of his writings, Guru Rinpoche is paramount. His entire emphasis of devotion is Guru Rinpoche and the cycles that arose from his own mind and other past tirtans. It says, I took birth in the family of a great protector in the 3rd month of the Earth Monkey year. And then, like immediately, in Zangdak Palri, the copper-colored palace of Padmasambhava, I was in the midst of a great accomplishment practice of the ocean of Dharma that embodies all teachings. Within a gathering of the king and his subjects and the 25 disciples and a gathering of treasure revealers, all perfectly complete, together with the assembly of the 100 great tirtans. Then the Lord of Odhyana, Padmasambhava, who remained infused in deep contemplation, with a resplendent radiance, proclaimed these melodious Vajra words, Emaho, Emaho, Emaho. Listen, young Ben Tingzing Zampo. pay heed. So Orgen Rigzen Nuden Dorje, I'll segue, was also his past lives. He has an amazing garland of past lives, and two of the most important great beings that he was incarnated as previously. One was Sri Simha, who was actually the teacher of Guru Padmasambhava. So it's kind of interesting that his heart is completely infused in Padmasambhava's unceasing, undying mandala, right, in the heart of Zangdak Pari. But he was also previously an emanation of Guru. He previously was Sri Simha, who was probably the most important guru of Padmasambhava himself. And then he again manifested as Nyangben Tingzing Zampo, who was one of the 5 eminent disciples of Guru Rinpoche. And this Tingzing Zampo was the first Tibetan to attain rainbow body through the teachings of Guru Rinpoche. And he was also a student of Vimala Mitra. So he hid what later became the revealed terma part of the Vima Ningtik. He was the first person to hide the teachings of the Vima Ningtik, which were later discovered by 2 other teachers and became this corpus of revealed termas. This includes the 17 tantras. So this Nyangben Tingzing Zampo was actually super important in the Tibetan lineage. So Orgen Rigzen Nuden Dorje, when you look at his previous incarnations, extremely powerful, vast, and profound, this kind of line that he keeps emanating through. So here in this biography, autobiography, Guru Rinpoche is calling him Tingzing Zampo, right? Even though he just took birth as this young baby. So immediately he manifests to this Pure Land and receives teachings. Then it says, then the Lord of Odayana Padmasambhava, okay, Tingzing Zampo, Padmasambhava is speaking now. He says, in the snowland of Tibet, you nurtured my remaining disciples. He's talking about his previous incarnation of Tingzing Zampo. You taught according to my heart essence and helped the teachings flourish. The time has come to repel instability, disturbance, and war. Many blessings and empowerments were bestowed at that time. All the 13 great Lingpas, 13 great Tirthans were gathered. There's a list I'll pass it on later, of these 13 Lingpas. Actually, it says later in this biography that Orgen Rigzen Nuden Dorje is the heart essence of all of these 13 Tirthans. So when he leaves the great glorious copper-colored mountain, Guru Rinpoche kind of gives him the command. He says, you are the mind essence in one of all these great 13 Tirthans. Then the 13 Tirthans bless Orgen Rigzen Nuden Dorje. Then he emanates kind of into calm eastern Tibet. So it says, together, it's right here. Yeah. Together they generated the bodhisattva vows, made auspicious prayers, aspirations, and from each of their hearts variegated rays of lights emanated out and struck all beings in all places everywhere, and then the light dissolved into myself as well. And at that very moment the great master of Orgen, Padmasambhava, arose as Hayagriva and consort. This is this is a key point, because the entire cycle of this Dechen Nyingpo that we will get into focuses around Hayagriva and Vajravarahi. This is kind of the main emphasis of the practice on the outer level. So Padmasambhava arose as Hayagriva and Varahi. It says, partaking of, or like soaking up this essence, this spiritual presence, the face of wisdom of the Dharma Dhatu spilled over, and samadhi, or contemplation of the primordial state, was instantaneously accomplished. The outer, inner, and secret empowerments were all perfected in an instant. Outwardly, the great tamer of beings, Chenrezig, arose as the 6 munis for the welfare of all beings. This is like kind of his vision he's having. Thus, the blessings of the inner aspect of my own inner dimension, as Guru Rinpoche was made manifest. The primordial state itself is equal to and none other than Pamasambhava, with aspiration prayers of liberation through seeing, hearing, touching, remembering, and recalling these extensive these extensive secrets. Then finally, a great wrathful empowerment was conferred. This was conferred in secrecy, and blessings were bestowed. Then it says, to guide or subdue arrogant activity, the entirety of samsara and nirvana, through wrathful activities, one should recite various Guru Rinpoche mantras. From that positive, auspicious and circumstance, like benefit will arise. And then it goes on to say, then Yeshe Sogyo and the 5 Dakinis gathered me to different grounds and paths, different bhumis actually, in spiritual realms, and made great aspiration prayers for my birth. So this is kind of before he emanated from the womb. Now it's talking about the moment where he comes out of the womb. He says, my father was an emanation of Haruka Hayagriva from the bloodline of Chogyo Ratna Rinchen Punsak. Not forgetting the activity of, not forgetting like past activity, I was then like placed in the womb. It says the haughty actions of the class of a Masang, which is a spirit class, kind of one of the 8 classes of beings, with the name Dagyo Dorje, together with formless non-humans, joined in union with the father and the mother. So as his father and mother were joining, these different classes of great being, like powerful beings, were gathered around and kind of merging with them. And then it says, I, as a magical emanated form, willingly took birth in the mother, a pure and virtuous queen. Visualizing Hayagriva and Varahi in the play of Nando union within the place of the red and white bodhicitta drop on the sun and moon seat, I focused my mind on the Shri red in color and cultivated awareness of the deity. With limitless clouds of offerings of the victorious ones, the gathering beings, this is talking about all the beings that were in the Pure Land, Zandak Palri, Pema Od, or just in general, all these realms of Buddhas. The gathering beings were pleased and offered fully perfected offerings. All these beings, full of compassionate energy and the force of great blessings, with an overwhelming presence, were rejoiced, and all was complete and gathered into this Shri. The Shri emanated out on the 25th day, the Dakini day, in the southern land of Jambuwipa, sending forth a sublime principal being for the welfare and benefit of others, of the highest acume, with a disposition to benefit through the great vehicle, outwardly possessing a strong, healthy body. This shows that he mastered, he meaning Organ Rigden Nuren Dorje, he mastered the stages of creation and completion, as the powerful Hayagriva, which is an empty, luminous form beyond outer and inner, clear and bright. The entity of his mind is the actual Jnanasattva, Vajradharma Pamasambhava, complete, or contemplate on the vivid presence of Vajradhara Organ Dorje Chang. Whatever arises, joy or sorrow, is like an illusion. While remaining within the state of an all-illuminating samadhi, this purifies the condition of birth, uncorrupted, outer and inner, self and other. This radiant fundamental nature is one's basic state. So now he's placed into the womb. Now it says, for 9 months the embryo formed, complete and perfect, saying countless aspiration prayers and taking countless pledges for the benefit of sentient beings. While he was in the womb, right, his mind is making aspiration prayers, receiving, taking samayas, probably receiving empowerments and instructions. It says, then the causal meditation arose with the principal thought of I. From the beginning to the end of conception, without going through stages of entering into and disintegrating from cyclic existence. It means he was unwavering. From the moment Guru Rinpoche placed his intent on him, and he decided to emanate into this realm, there was no going through the bardo. There was no feigning of consciousness. It was just a complete samadhi, basically, of practicing creation and completion stage, dissolving the body, the mind, putting the wind energies into the womb, and taking birth. It says, without going through these stages of entering into or disintegrating from cyclic existence, it says, sitting in the 7-point posture of Vairochana while in the room, the birth was finally established. In the evening I was born, and I was purified by a lamp flame when I came out. Okay, I'll skip that part. It's kind of funny. It says that one of his uncles started to began to shake and speak nonsense. Later it goes on and talks about what the uncle said, but that's not part of this. When he came out, his umbilical cord was wrapped all the way around his head, and it looked like he was engulfed in flames. The cord was cut. It says the umbilical cord looked like a light web or a matrix of blazing fire, which was then cut away. Which is interesting because all the end of his terma cycles end with drava, which is like matrix. So there's like a connection from his birth there. The titles end with this word, drava. It says, the guru of exalted wisdom arose with only a mere strain of suffering. So just a small little cry he let out. He then spoke. This is, maybe it's fantasy, but he says, he then spoke. He saw his mother and he said, my mother is pure. Both the nurse and the mother heard this and almost fainted. It says his hair was already covered with dreadlocks that went down to his neck. And they wrapped around his neck like a necklace of 6 ornaments. They wrapped around his neck like a necklace. It seemed like he was adorned with the 6 ornaments. He had marks of tiger skin, feathers, water wheels, and other symbols imprinted on his body, such as squares, garlands, a shoulder belt, and all the rest. All the marks and signs of a Vidyadhara. The samadhi of gods and humans existed from the start. It says, for 3 days his previous Yiram deity stayed near him, and he perceived the actual face of Manjushri Yamantaka, the Lord of Life. He has a deep connection with the Manjushri Yamantaka cycle as well. Okay, so that's just kind of establishes this Orgenrigs and Nudendorjes kind of miraculous birth, if you want to call it that. But it's really this is his inner display. This is what he's experiencing as he's coming out of the womb. This is his experience of not actually going through the birth and death process, being blessed by Padmasambhava, the 13 Lingpas blessing him, Yeshe Sogyo and the 5 wisdom dakinis giving him blessings. And he emanated into this world, took birth, and then that kind of sets the beginning of his story. Okay, so then, fast forward. Later in his autobiography, it tells how he was given the scrolls of his of this cycle, Dechen Nyingpo. Basically, this Dakini comes to him, hands him all of these Haruka garments, takes him to Guru Rinpoche's Pure Land, and says, "I'm placing in your heart all of the treasures and termas that you will reveal in the future. You are a great holder of the 7 treasuries. You are the emanation of the 13 Lingpas. You are no different than Guru Rinpoche." Then he comes back to kind of Eastern Tibet, arises from this vision, and then he begins to reveal all of these termas. The main terma of which, in short, we call Dechen Nyingpo. The actual full title is Deshek Sasam Kundu Lama Tukdrup Dechen Nyingpo, and this is the embodiment of those who have gone to bliss, the essence of the 3 roots and the sagatas, the mind accomplishment of the Guru, called Great Bliss. This is what this title stands for. And this terma cycle is quite massive. It has a lot of text in it. But the main component of the text is the outer, inner, and secret accomplishment of the 3 kayas of Guru Rinpoche. The outer aspect is Hayagriva, Varahi, and Union. This is considered the outer aspect of the practice. And then there's like a long sadhana, middle length sadhana, short kind of daily practice. complete with everything that you would find in any other sadhana cycle. Instructions on creation and completion stage, fire pujas, all the different activities and whatnot. Then it moves on to the inner practice. So now we're talking Sambhogakaya. First is Nirmanakaya. Sambhogakaya practice is all focused on Amitayas. Amitayas and longevity practices. Again, long, middle, daily sadhana. Now we're getting into Salong, Pranayama, Trulkor, and stuff like that. That's in that cycle. Then the cycle that's connected with Dharmakaya is Kuntuzampo. Sometimes solo, sometimes in union with Kuntuzampo. So it's a bit different. Usually you have, in a lot of Terma cycles, you have Guru Rinpoche, maybe Chenrezig and Amitayas. Or you might have Guru Rinpoche, Chenrezig, Hayagriva, Amitabha, Hayagriva, Guru Rinpoche. Here it's Guru Rinpoche, Amitayas, Kuntuzampo. So a little bit unique in that kind of how the three kayas unfold. Then from there, from that you have all the creation and completion stages that are common to the Nyingma tradition and Ati Yoga. So you have 3 or 4 practice manuals in this cycle that deal with Korde Rushins, right? The separating of the mind, the gross mind and the mind of awareness, separating samsara and nirvana. But what it means is filtering out all of our blockages, filtering out all of the conceptual habitual imprints, opening the layers of dualistic concept, letting that fall away, which is your conceptual mind, and letting awareness arise. This is Korde Rushin. These are Rushins and Semzins, which means holding the mind. Semzin is taking control of the mind. And it means not the normal mind of samsara, it means kind of the mind of awareness. So it has these methods, then it has a manual on Trekchö, then it has a manual on Togyo. So it's a complete cycle in that sense. How this cycle, it's kind of rare, it's not really practiced that much, even in Drikung Kagyu, it's not widely dispersed. Yangzab is kind of the main cycle that, because it's really old and was established, and Rinchen Punsak, a great lineage master, Yangzab got really established. Dechen Nyingpo did not get really established strongly. In eastern Tibet, in Kham, in a few monasteries, it is held, where Bongcho Rinpoche, the current incarnation of the Rigzen Orgen Nuden Dorje, he has a few monasteries there, it's held. And why did I have access to it, and why is Nuden Dorje important? For myself personally, and kind of within the lineage of Garchen Rinpoche, it's because Orgen Rigzen Nuden Dorje had a really tight connection with the previous Garchen Rinpoche, Trinle Yongkyap. So Orgen Rigzen Nuden Dorje was alive during that time, and his monastery was in eastern Tibet, not far from where Gargan is. Orgen Rigzen Nuden Dorje, Trinle Yongkyap, the previous Garchen Rinpoche, and the first Tsogni Rinpoche were all connected. Through Orgen Rigzen Nuden Dorje, his cycles became established in Gargan Monastery. So you'll see a lot of the practices, well, maybe not a lot, but a core chunk of what's important to our current Garchen Rinpoche was infused through Orgen Rigzen Nuden Dorje's blessings. So for example, I mean, many of you heard this already, I've said it a few times, but it bears repeating. So like the Zambala practice, Orgen Khandro Norla, specifically the summoning good fortune that we do a lot in Garchen Rinpoche's lineage. And Drikung in general has kind of taken it in recently, but it really comes through Orgen Rigzen Nuden Dorje. He was a chodak, or a dharma heir of this lineage, which was given to him by the first Sogni Rinpoche, Sogni Rinpoche was given this by Chogyo Dorje, who was a great Turtan of the Drukpa Kagyu lineage. So, through the first Sogni Rinpoche, it went to Orgen Rigzen Nuren Dorje, who was also a Chodak, a Dharma heir of this lineage, of the Orgen Kanjo Norla. He passed it to the previous Garchen Rinpoche, and then it was established in Gargan Monastery. So this is why we practice summoning good fortune, actually. It's through this connection. Also, this practice of Dechen Nyingpo, I'm shortening it to Dechen Nyingpo because this is too long to keep saying the full title. This Dechen Nyingpo, or Heart Essence of Great Bliss of the Guru, was also established in Gargan Monastery. And this is practiced in Upper Gar, which is actually the nuns. The nunnery ended up holding on to this lineage really tightly. So in Lower Gar, they don't practice it as much. Occasionally they practice it. Like once a year they do a practice on it. But the upper nunnery, the Upper Gar with the nuns, they hold this lineage really tight and kind of continuously practice it. So in Gargan, this is still held really tightly. And then there's also a really amazing called the Rainbow Body Chode practice that's connected with it. In the Drikung Center in the US and Vermont, they've given some teachings on it there. So nonetheless, it's a complete practice cycle. From the beginning, Ngöndro, all the way to completion stage, Trekcho Togyo, Rainbow Body practices. So the intent, the overall intent is to like touch this cycle of Ngöndro, right? Not with any crazy prerequisites. You have to do 100,000. I mean, it's great, of course, if you have time to commit and do it. It's beneficial for your own practice. But my intent in this is to at least, maybe once a month, meet up, go over a section, right? And we can do the long for each section as we go over it. Then take that, practice it as you can. Doesn't matter, even if it's you practice it once a week. Just touch the cycle, because it's important, my view anyway, maybe it's my own personal view. It's important to touch as much of the cycle as possible in some kind of order, because it gives the view. The view is unfolded through the order of practice. If we just jump into the cycle immediately, which is also, there's no wrong in it. But the view, when we get into Dechen Nyingpo at some point, which is the goal, is to get into the Dechen Nyingpo cycle, starting with the outer practice of Hayagriva, Varahi, and do group practices on that, There's also daily practice, short daily practices. This is already basically getting worked out. I have most of the section that we need. It's actually translated, it's being versified right now. So we can do it as an accomplishment practice. The view in that practice is so vast, and the wording is essentially the wording in the outer practice of Hayagriva Varahi is immediately jumps into Dzogchen from the get-go. The entirety of the wording. If there's no foundation, it's not talked about first. I mean, most of us have already taken teachings and read books and been exposed to all the wording anyway. But theoretically, doing it in kind of a traditional way, it's really good to open up the gate of like terminology even in view. Then when you go to practice the sadhanas, you're already kind of settled and established. It's an amazing practice. Like it's completely mind-blowing actually, the verbiage in it and how it settles you into the view. So that's the intent of like starting with the Ngöndro and then going into the outer, inner, and secret practices. A lot of that stuff needs to get translated. Certain transmissions still need to get kind of taken into account. But nonetheless, this is the intent. So Garchen Rinpoche, I'll just give you a backstory on this. When Garchen Institute was established in Arizona, they had two land possibilities. One was on the other side of kind of this area. I live close to where the institute is. The other side, this is in northern Arizona, kind of like, 1 mile high elevation. So it's kind of a flat valley, big valley with like some hills that thrust up. On the far end of the valley is a mountain range, right? This mountain range with pine trees and kind of like a conifer forest, this is where the first land was donated, and they were going to make their make the center there. Then somebody offered another piece of land, which is where it's at now, kind of this like more open, vast vista. In between this, before the centers were fully established, Rinpoche was staying in a private home. And there was work that had been done to translate kind of the basic sadhana of Dechen Nyingpo. Then, at some point, either in that home or on one of the lands, I don't know the complete story of where they practiced it, but there was essentially a building, and they could come together as a group. The very first thing that Rinpoche wanted to practice on that land, right, or even if it wasn't on that land, in the house when they were kind of choosing the land, was Dechen Nyingpo. He didn't choose Yamantaka. He didn't choose Guru Rinpoche, that we practice. He didn't choose any of the Kila or whatnot. He said, I want to do Dechen Nyingpo. So, that in itself is kind of, I don't want to say amazing. It's interesting. Why would he choose that? It's something quite profound in this practice. For some reason, it never got fully established. They've never really practiced it. They've never given even teachings on it at Garchen Institute. Rinpoche himself hasn't given any teachings on it, maybe rarely, once or twice. I'm not familiar with. The cycle itself, it's only been given one time, or the empowerment for the cycle, once or twice that I know about, from Bongcho Rinpoche when he was in Vermont years ago. I translated this for myself because I wanted to practice it. I offered a copy to Garchen Rinpoche. He was really happy. He said, this is really great. This is an amazing Ngöndro. You should offer it. You should give it to people who have interest. Then he said in the same email, Ari, who was a translator for Rinpoche for many years, has translated, put so much work into Dechen Nyingpo. It's available. You should practice it. Those who want to practice, you should practice. All right? So, it was partially true. Like, she had done 50% of the stuff, and other 50% finally I did and got done. But point is, this is like Rinpoche's wish, actually, and Garchen Rinpoche's wish. He's the one who said, open the cycle up and do it for those who have interest. So this is why I'm offering it also, not necessarily out of my own, hey guys, let's get together and do it. Like, it's nice. I really, I don't have a big thrust, who am I, Like, Garchen Rinpoche is still alive. But we have the Ngöndro available. Rinpoche directly said, do it, offer it, practice it, it's available. So, anyway, I sent him a list of what I compiled and translated for the cycle later, for the practice of Dechen Nyingpo. He's like, good, that's fine. So we have access to it through his blessings, and this is enough for me, All right, so that's kind of the intro I wanted to give on Organ Rigzen Nuden Dorje, his uniqueness in the Drikung lineage. Also, just as a side note, the Yamantaka lineage that we practice now, this is really three. I mean, Gyalzhangtrom is the root terma who revealed it. But the three people that really, what makes our Yamataka lineage that is so profound, Andre's in there, he holds this lineage and really is a great practitioner of this cycle. This lineage is Rinchen Punsak, right? What makes it really like, oh my God, amazing in Drikung, right? We have all the verses of praise from Rinchen Punsak, which are amazing. Then you have Rigzen Choki Drakpa, who compiled everything. Everything is Rigzen Choki Drakpa, like compiled by the Tsok, the Kangwa, the fulfillment, the praise of signs, the investiture, like when you practice the Drupchen, like so much of it is Rigzen Choki Drakpa, who was essentially like the preeminent Yamantaka practitioner for the past, who knows how many, hundreds of years. And then Orgyen Rigzen Nuden Dorje kind of reestablished this tradition in Eastern Tibet and made it even stronger. So a lot of Orgyen Rigzen Nuden Dorje's monasteries are deep holders of this Yamantaka lineage. They really have practiced it for a long, long time through his incarnation line. And a lot of the stuff that's in the Drupchen text is also Orgyen Rigzen Nuden Dorje. He's a big, big proponent of Yamantaka. Actually, that's why it said in his autobiography, the first thing that arose for him, it says his deity of former lives for 3 days stayed in front of him. And this was Manjushri Yamantaka. It says here, let's see. Oh, it doesn't say that. It says on the last line, he perceived the actual face of Yamantaka, the Lord of Life. Then the next thing it says is Om Eka Yamaduru Chakra. It says something like that. Or Om Akroteka Yamantaka Hompad. He says like part of the mantra. And in his autobiography, like his main practice was Lama Gongdu actually. With Sangye Lingpa, really old Terma cycle, vast Terma cycle, like just huge. Oldest one, probably one of the oldest ones and most vast. That was his main practice. And kind of like secondary, it's like every 3 pages, it's like, I practiced Lama Gongdu for a week. We did the protection and repelling Drupchen. Then it's like, I had this vision. I practiced Lama Gongdu. Then we did the protection and repelling. He's just cycling Lama Gongdu, Yamantaka, over and over, over and over. Like 150 times. Just like that's all he does is like Drupchens. Anyway, that's just a side note. So, yeah, that was my intent today. I wanted to give you a little bit of Orgyen Rigzen Nuden Dorje's background, tell you how important he was, what this Dechen Nyingpo cycle is, what we can expect when we get into it, for those who have interest, and where I want to take it, basically, slowly over time. Okay, so the 5th section, I told you there's 4 sections in this, in most Ngöndros. This Ngöndro has a 5th section. The 5th section is the inner Korde Rushin of the purification of the 6 lokas. So that's the 5th section in this, which directly establishes kind of the necessary conditions traditionally to then open up the gate of like the Ati Yoga practices, right? Trekchur and Togyo. You go through the inner Korde Rushins first, then the view is established, or then then kind of like the empowerments into Trekchur and Togyo are given, something like that. The view is established from the get-go through talking about the view. Nonetheless, that's the 5th section of this. So this Ngöndro directly leads into Ati Yoga practices. And one final note that's interesting on this. For those of you that have practiced with the Garchen Rinpoche and have practiced this Jongchok, the practice of purification for the living or dying, that root text is Jamyang Kensei Wangpo and Chogyur Lingpa. Compiled by, made amendments by Orgyen Rigzen Nuden Dorje. And then in the end, in that, when you go to do the purification of the 6 seed syllables in that, the mantras in there are a bit unique, actually. You don't find those mantras in most of the purification of the 6 loka practices. Usually it's just the seed syllables and omahong. This is kind of how you approach that practice. But there you have like what Om Bita Bita Sarvasira Gate Hetum Humpet in this Jangchuk. This comes from Orgyen Rigzen Nuren Dorje's Ngöndro cycle. This is his revealed words for each of the 6 lokas. Guru Rinpoche gave him those words to purify the lokas, and it starts in Dechen Nyingpo. So he took those purifications from his revelation and put those into the Jangchuk text. Anyway, that's just an interesting side note. So he's quite profound, vast, big influence in Drikung, and has some amazing teachings. All right, that's it. We'll do a dedication, and probably in, I don't know, another 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month or something. I'll figure out a date, and then we'll start in the beginning of this, and we'll go over the first section. All right, so just inside, dedicate internally. Okay, and then I'll say in English, prayer for Garcha Rinpoche. The one known in the Holy Land as Aryadeva emanated into the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Chodingpa, the heart son of Jigten Gompo. May the life of the glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 aeons. In this age of strife, when the victor's teaching faces hardship through his powerful Vajra-like conduct, he takes upon himself the heavy responsibility of the unbiased teachings. May Garchen, son of the teachings, live long. Okay, thank you. I recorded this. If you send me a message, I can send you the recording, but you have to send me a message because I didn't write down everybody. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, great Varahi. Yes. This is...
Thanks, Lama Brian. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, my pleasure. Everything. Oh,
You
have a practice today, Andre?
We have talk starting in half an hour.
Oh, that's perfect. Excellent. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
Send a note and I'll send the recordings, okay? Actually, it might tell me who saved. I'll check. I'll see how advanced the Zoom is. Okay, until next time.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
Yeah, tears come out.
Okay. All right, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.